I've been hearing people claiming that, like, what's it called? Bibi, like, begged the Islamic Republic that, like, he'd stop attacking their oil refineries if the Islamic Republic stopped attacking others, and the Islamic Republic was like, "No," and, like, people are saying that, like, I don't know, that it means, like, the Islamic Republic isn't that, like, America and Israel are losing, and I don't know, like, what do you say to those people?
Okay, so I think that there's a good cop, bad cop play here right now, and Israel and United States. This might be true. I don't know 100%, but Jeffrey might want to add to that as well. I think Israel is playing the bad cop, and United States is playing the good cop, and I think that United States need to be concerned about Qatar, because Qatar has a lot of influence on United States, and President Trump doesn't want to really piss them off too much. But Israel is attacking certain sites you know when it comes to the energy infrastructure of the Islamic Republic. They're testing to see how the Islamic Republic behaves. Like so far, the way that they attacked it, it hasn't caused any disruption in the supply chain. It has caused prices to go up, and it has caused shortages, but the supply chain is still there. So the targeting has been very minimum. But I do think, like, it's hard. I don't know if you saw, but President Trump came out and posted that, oh, this had nothing to do with us. We didn't know they're going to do this, and I'm going to ask Israel to stop them right now. Again, I might be wrong about this, and Jeffrey could clarify this. I have a hard time believing that Israelis are not coordinating with Americans when it comes to an attack that's significant. Like, that is a very significant attack, and I don't think it was like, oh, it's like, oh, we didn't know we are gonna do this. It's really hard for me to believe that that was not like, especially when it comes to these types of operation. There's a lot of communication going on between them right now. I think Israel has accepted United States sometimes coming out and saying, taking these positions against Israel time to time, just to save face in front of the Qataris. You're like, ah, that has nothing to do with us. It was them, right? And stop them. And also, I think by doing this, without United States being made it look to look guilty, you're going to get these Arab countries around the Persian Gulf to start contributing in the war, in the military operations against the Islamic Republic. Because I mean, that's what President Trump is trying to do, is to create like a coalition of multiple countries. They're trying to get the Europeans involved, trying to get the Koreans involved, the Japanese involved, but also the Arab countries around the Persian Gulf, by showing to them that this is not really hurting America as much as, like, yeah, like, it stings a little bit, but you guys are actually paying like, why do you? This is about creating a norm for what's about to come eventually when with China, right? Because the a lot of the world has it's becoming the norm for people, like, oh, come clean up the mess, Israel, come clean up the mess, United States. Like, we'll just sit back and we just enjoy our free healthcare, our free education, and all of this welfare, because we get to save money, because Israel and United States are doing the dirty job that we do not do, right? Like, let them care of the global security. I mean, Germany literally said, Chancellor Mercer said, like, Israel is doing the dirty job that the rest of the world is refuses to do. So this is not ideal, especially if the rest of the world at some point needs to have to respond to China. Getting used to the idea that Israel and America are just, and eventually with China, Israel is not going to be involved in that at all, right? It's going to be just United States. Well, not at all, but not as much at least. I mean, it's very hypocritical that they keep asking United States to help them with Russia all the time. Like, oh, this is a global threat, help us with Russia. But then they're nowhere to be seen. So, like, the Arab countries always ask United States to come help them with Iran. European countries ask United States to come help them when it comes to Russia. they're nowhere to be seen when the United States needs, like, okay, where are you guys when it comes to China? Like they're absent. So I think this is a practice for us to show that the era of leeching off of US military and taking advantage of Israel's readiness to actually respond to this is over. So some of these attacks might be strategic way to actually hurt, to actually make these Arab countries be like, okay, this is painful. Like what the hell? Like we can't, it's taking too long. We want to, like, Europeans are hurting a lot because of gas prices. These Arab countries are hurting a lot. I mean, I don't even know if Dubai. I mean, don't bet against Dubai because people bet against Dubai during the COVID, and Dubai had a bounce back at some point eventually. But this is not good for the image of the UAE and their entire business model. For example, with Dubai, Qatar thought, like, because I have a good relationship with the Islamic Republic, I'm going to be spared. Well, no, not but that didn't happen. So I think that, a lot of people are saying like, oh, Trump is losing because oil prices are increasing. First of all, oil prices are not increasing nearly as much as people assumed when the Islamic Republic is trying to, like, close the Strait of Hormuz. Like, people were expecting immediately for things to hit $200. It's actually remarkable that even to this point we haven't yet hit $120. That is remarkable that we will have this scale of a military operation in the Persian Gulf, and the oil prices have, like, Brent crude has not yet hit 120. That is like, that's almost a miracle. But at the same time, I don't think that it might be true that President Trump doesn't mind, oil prices. I mean, it's not good for elections in the United States, but it seems like President Trump has a bigger plan in mind rather than just winning elections. I seem like he wants to do certain things that fixes the world in a way that it doesn't really matter who becomes elected next, that we fix certain problems that would not rely on us hoping for the correct president in the White House for them to get fixed next time. Like that, he's focused mostly on that. So he's like a little bit less worried about his popularity numbers or election results. He wants to just make sure that he gets this done 100%. And I
Mm,
think that's required. Oil prices going up might reduce his popularity to some extent, but big is other than, it's also helping him with getting the rest of the world involved. Not necessarily because they need the military operation, their military contribution as much for these military operations to succeed, but mostly because of the long-term consequences of basically signaling to the world that the era of leeching off of America is over. So I don't want to see what Jeffrey thinks about all of this. Yeah.
All 26 parts in under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
uh, no, you're not wrong on a lot of the things that you mentioned. You're spot on. So, like, President Trump, very much his motive is to set it up, given where we're at, so that we have the best chance at minimizing the probability of a high intensity world war, which is very low. And barring that, should or if or when it happen, blunt the damage when it happens. Yeah. He very much wants to set it up so the world is in the best, safest spot it could be, with understandably a focus on U.S. interest because he's the president of the United States. Amazingly, so with regards to the oil, and then I'll touch on the Israeli U.S. thing. I played a role in writing a policy. This was actually this was actually given to Ukraine, like, to people, and drumming up unconventional oil and natural gas in both Poland and Ukraine after Putin's illegal annexation of Crimea. There's a couple of key revolutionary disruptive technologies that, if they're combined, it would turn the United States into the Saudi Arabia of the world, and we could, with just unconventional oil, provide the entire world's consumption of oil for 56 years at a price point lower than it costs the House of Saud or anybody else to pull it out of the ground, and still maintain a 50% profit margin while reducing global greenhouse gas emissions by 50%. The people who fucked that up, some people on the Republican side, and Hunter Biden, who in part stole mine and some other people's work. I mean, like, he doesn't understand shit, right? He doesn't understand geopolitics or anything like that. Just throwing that out there, right? We wouldn't even have to worry about oil issues if U.S. production of oil and natural gas wasn't destroyed by, or at least undermined and hampered by, say, previous Democratic administrations. As far as like the divergence between the focus on different target sets inside Iran, it's true they definitely coordinate with each other. That said, it's also like conflict is chaotic and nobody's 100%. And you may have two people that look at different things and see, and come to a different conclusion, even though their conclusion is, even though their goal is to eliminate the Mullah regime with the least amount of blood and treasure for both their respective nations and more, and as well as Iranian people on the ground. So like we're like President Trump's like he doesn't want to strike oil energy, not because he doesn't. There's certain elements within the oil and energy sector inside Iran he's hesitant to strike because his main goal is to deny the Mullah regime oil revenue so it can sustain itself or bribe people like dark sea fleets coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and giving oil to fucking China. Like one of the things I'll be sending up is, we should just take Mullah oil tankers wholesale and just be like, you know what? No one's going to stop us, and you're not going to play this bullshit game. And what we're going to do is we'll sell that on the free market, and that will sit there and lower the price point. We have a couple 100 million barrels of oil there, and that's going to be put into escrow for Iranian people when you fuckers are dead. How you like them apples? That's one idea I have. In any case, his main focus is while he wants to deny the Mullah regime that energy lever, he also wants to ensure he wants to do so in a manner that leaves as much of the infrastructure there as possible for Iranian people. Because he means that. He doesn't want to leave, if at all possible, he wants to leave as much of that for the Iranian people as possible. The Mullah regime probably is not going to allow that because they're evil douchebags that will burn everything to the fucking ground. I mean, that's their stated policy. You just had that discussion with the person you interviewed on the Persian channel, right? He said they're willing to kill billions of people, burn everything to the ground. Donald's doing his best to make sure that that doesn't happen. Maybe Israeli defense forces are like, well, they want to maximize the short-term disruption to to accelerate Mullah decline and or being eliminated and thereby minimize the harm to Iranian people that way. So you have two people sitting there looking at this problem. I mean, I can't say for certain. I mean, you're not wrong. I'm saying this also could be another contributing factor, right? They're like, here's this problem. We want to have these goals: eliminate the Mullah regime, minimize cost for us and Iranian people. And then they come to different conclusions based on how they're looking at it. Sometimes that may mean that allies do things that are not in unison with each other. It doesn't mean that they're not aligned with each other. It just means that they're attacking a problem from a different direction. Could be that too. Either way, the point is very clear amongst the United States and Israeli military and respective governments and respective militaries. The goal is to punish the Mullah regime, not the Iranian people. And there's no doubt that there is ungodly levels of restraint in how that force is applied with that in mind.
And I feel like the only way to deal with people who have luxury beliefs is to make them have to pay the cost of their luxury beliefs. So, like, I don't know how to say this, but like, with the, I don't see anything in this war that like is affecting Europe in such a way that like it's going to make Europe want to like change behavior. If that, because it feels like you were trying to imply like things were being done that way, but like I don't see it.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
yeah, go on,
Daniel,
Daniel.
Shana, Sadata, and Armin all wanted to respond to this. So I
Okay.
encourage people to change that to raising hands if you want. Also, I'm having internet issues, so Armin, please manage that.
Okay, guys, also try to do the response part short so that we get to other people as well. But go on, Daniel.
Okay, so my response for the coordination between US forces and Israel forces is very strong, tight, and in the air defense, in the air bases of Israel, we always have somebody from US to like make the coordination. There is no like missing link in that part. And well, Well, that's it, actually.
Yeah. Actually, I'm wondering if the Qataris are retarded enough to believe that, like, oh, America had nothing to do with it. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Who's, oh, wait, who else
Oh,
did
I
that? You, Shana, go ahead.
Oh, just very, very quick. I think that there's probably a mixture of fog of war stuff, but I do think that there's a lot of coordination going on. I also think that if I was BB, I'm just thinking like if I was BB, my country's going to be blamed. Literally, I could step outside and be hit with a a missile, die, and I would be blamed for my own death. So like,
Right.
that's just how. So I don't know, if I was Israel and I was thinking strategically and working with my US allies, it makes sense to me that I would be just willing to be the whipping boy because I'm going to be the whipping boy no matter what.
Yes. Um. Yeah. If you're playing the good cop bad cop, it makes sense for Israel to play the bad cop because they're not paying a cost. They're always bad, anyways. By the way, I just wanted to make sure that when I say Qatari people, I meant the regime. I hope like that's. I don't want to insult the Qatari people as a whole. And I also wasn't suggesting that they're retarded. I do think that they know what's happening. I mean, I'm pretty sure they know what's happening, but they need something for public consumption to be out there for them to have an excuse to go with everything. So even if United States is feeding them this fake narrative and they know it's fake, they're like, let's just go with it. Let's just go with it because we know there's nothing. We don't have much leverage anyways here. So let's just say like, sure, yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, you tell Israel to stop. Thank you very much. So, and they know, I know they might know that this is all just a game, but they just have to roll with it, right? Also, Samantha, you're saying like I don't see anything changing Europe's behavior. I mean, I don't know. Like at some point, they might actually send something. You know, they might send some ships. They might send like if they feel the pain. I mean, you're right. Like they have to pay the cost for having these beliefs, and gas prices are so like Europe is actually very sensitive to gas prices. So at some point, they might actually have to contribute. Like the cost might be enough for them to get involved. Yeah, we'll see. It's worth trying though. And at some point, I think like it's not like that people are necessarily going to change their belief. It's either like change their behavior. It's either change your behavior or become less relevant. So Europe has become much less relevant than they used to be when it comes to the global order, and they might, like, if they don't change course, they might continue down that path. The problem with Europe is, and I know, Samantha, you might not agree with this, but they're addicted to welfare, like to a huge degree, and they have to. It's like a drug. Like you can't get off of it once you're on it, because a lot of the things that Europe needs to do to be able to change course requires them get off that path that they are on, being welfare states. And once you once a population is on welfare, they're going to punish any politician that even hints on getting off of it. So
Services
that's why
do
it's,
they provide that you think they shouldn't be?
well, I mean, I'm demand side anyways. Like I think like whatever, if the government wants to support the people, they just should just you know do like a just give people money. I believe governments should mostly focus on policing, justice system, military, maybe some private public partnerships if the private sector is so weak that they can't get into certain industries, adjusting positive and negative externalities, foreign policies. Those are the things I think the government should be involved with. And everything else they want to support when it comes to healthcare, education, just give people the money. People who can't afford education, give them the money. People who can't afford healthcare, just give them the money. If people can't afford housing, give them the money for housing. I don't believe any of these services should be provided by the government. They're not very good at providing those services. If they want to support the people who can't afford them, just fund them. Give them the money for the things that they can't afford. It,
But
it reduces the price. Yeah, yeah. I believe by giving services, because they're not profit motivated, they end up increasing the price, the cost of it, right? Because they're not profit motivated, because they're not doing competition with the private sector, every service that they're providing becomes a lot more costly, because nothing is free. When you say like, oh, here's free healthcare, I mean, somebody's paying for it. They're not just paying for it directly. Everything that they call free, there are certain people that have worked, and that money was taken from them to pay for that thing. Nothing is free. And I think when you charge for healthcare, so it's no, there's no free healthcare, there's no free education. There, you're getting people to pay for it indirectly, and usually when you do that, people end up paying more for it. They don't pay less for it, they end up paying more for it, because you're not profit motive. You don't have the profit motive, and you're not competing, so you're not incentivized to reduce costs. So it ends up costing your citizens more to pay for that healthcare or to pay for that education.
I can't
I'm not
say
saying
things.
I'm not saying abandon the poor. I'm just saying if you want to give the poor, support the poor, just give them the money, right? And they will go get what they need, all right?